Hi, welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, a show where I take a thing and see whether or not I like it. Now the thing we're looking at in this video is the Sony MDR-10R portable around ear headphone. Now first of all, I want to thank Sony Australia for giving me a pair of these headphones to have a listen to and to keep as a review unit. This headphone has a recommended retail price of $199, though I have seen it go in terms of street prices as low as $99 on Amazon.com. This headphone is part of the same family of headphones as the MDR-10R, which I believe was a very popular headphone for Sony. The MDR-10R was the second headphone that I reviewed on my channel. It's the most watched video so far on my channel, and it was a headphone that I really liked because of its natural sound and its quite open, relaxed soundstage, though I did think it lacked a little in terms of absolute bass punch. The MDR-10R is not meant to replace the MDR-1R. The 1R actually has a new Mark II version. The 10R is more like a little brother to the 1R, so it's at a cheaper price point, it's lighter, it's more compact, but it still retains this around ear fit. So I was really interested to see how much of the 1R formula that Sony could manage to squeeze into this more compact package. So let's take a closer look. So first of all, as far as design goes, I think Sony has done a really good job with the MDR-10R. This is a headphone that's made mostly out of plastic, but it's quite solid, it's quite well built, and I think it has quite a subtle and attractive design to it. The 10R is definitely not quite as premium or solid feeling as the MDR-1R, which is a more expensive headphone, but the MDR-10R actually weighs a lot less, so it weighs 180 grams, which is very lightweight and always a plus for a portable headphone to have a comfortable lightweight. The MDR-10R has a 1.2 meter detachable cable, and you get two cables in the box. You get the standard 3.5 millimeter 1.2 cable with a 90-degree angle jack on the end, and you also get a 1.2 meter cable with a smartphone remote compatible with Android and Apple devices. Though because of that cross-compatibility, it lacks the volume up and volume down buttons that work with the Apple devices. So as far as comfort and noise isolation go, I think Sony has chosen quite a soft and pliable material for the ear pads, and the ear cup size itself, although it's smaller than the 1R's ear cups, it is this elongated shape and it's of sufficient depth that I think that for most people with average sized ears, your ears will still fit in these ear cups perfectly fine. So on the head, the 10R is a very comfortable headphone, both because of that around ear fit and also because of the quite light weight of the 10R. Now, one weakness of the 10R is noise isolation because of the large bass ports on the top of the headphone. They do let quite a lot of sound in, and if that's going to be a critical issue for you, I would look at something like the Sennheiser Inferior. Now, the instruction manual for the 10R makes mention of replaceable ear pads being available for the 10R, but so far I haven't been able to work out how to actually detach the ear pads from the 10R, so I can't confirm whether or not the ear pads on the 10R are replaceable. So the design of the 10R gets a big tick in my book, but how do I feel about the sound? Well, unfortunately, I have to say I do not like the sound of the 10R. The MDR-1R in my original review I felt lacked a little in terms of the lowest registers of bass, whereas with the 10R I feel like Sony has gone completely the other way and way too far. So the 10R has overwhelming bass quantity to my ears. It's a bass that's very boomy, it's quite flabby sounding, and it overall just sounds congested in the bass region. And this is combined with a mid-range kind of vocal region which is somewhat muffled and distant sounding, and then with the treble you have a peak which, while it isn't uncomfortable, it's somewhat nasal sounding, so the overall combination of the sound is not natural. Now, that's my biggest complaint with the 10R. It's not that I don't like bass, it's that the 10R just doesn't sound natural. The bass and the mid-range and the treble just do not sound well integrated. So with street prices for the 10R around $99, I do think it's still at least worth an audition if you want something that's really comfortable and lightweight. However, if you're willing to sacrifice a little in terms of wearing comfort, I'd be much happier recommending something like the Technica ES700, which is just a little bit more expensive than the 10R. It is an on-ear headphone, but I think it delivers much more of a natural, cleaner sound while still retaining that kind of bass punch. So if you haven't watched my review of those, check it out. I've linked it in the description of this video. And of course, there's always the MDR-10R Mark II, which if you have the extra money, I recommend wholeheartedly over the 10R. I had high hopes for the 10R, but unfortunately this really was not to my liking. Anyway, click the like button and subscribe to my channel if you found this review helpful. Thanks to all my regular subscribers. I'm looking forward to your comments. I actually made a Google Drive spreadsheet recently where I've put all my headphone reviews and links to them, and also whether I liked them or didn't like them. So you can use that as a kind of cheat sheet for my reviews. And so check that out. I've linked it in the description of this video. You can talk to me on Facebook at facebook.com/LachlanLikesAthing or on Twitter at LachLikesAthing, and happy listening.